8, 9, 10. 9, 10.
All right. Hello, everybody. This is your wandering storyteller. Good. You counted great. Hello, everybody. So I'm going to have to mute you guys. So that's going to be perfect. And for all of you just joining us, we're really happy to have you here for our story. The story today is called The Abandoned Cabooose, and it's The Abandoned Cabooose part 4, which means that we're going to have the end. And if you haven't been catching up with this before, we're going to tell you a little bit about what's happened so far. This is a story about 2 kids, right? And that was Fred and Fran. They lived in a house. They had a lot of toys. Like, you see all the toys behind me, everybody? Well, I'm sure you've all got some toys that you never play with. We call those abandoned. Those are toys that you never play with. But they found this little toy train. They found a little toy tiger, and these little toy train turned into a real train, took them through the mirror into another world. And there was a king there, and they got put in the dungeon. There's a bad magician who turned everybody into stone. There was a big mean dog, and they managed to escape all of these things. And in the last part of the story, and by the way, you can check out all the parts of the story on the YouTube channel. This is Amartat. And anyway, so last week, what happened was the king got his army, and the 2 kids, Fred and Fran, and the princess, whose name is Tina, they all went out to the house of the magician. He lived in the forest, a very dark, deep forest. And they surrounded the house with the army. They were getting ready to go in with their bows and arrows and their spears and their swords. They were going to really think they were going to get this nasty, mean magician. But the magician knew they were coming, and he set a spell out. And all of a sudden, there was this huge fire that started to burn all around the soldiers, and the fire was starting to get on their clothes, and everybody was going to burn into ashes. And just at that moment, Fred, who somehow had magic powers in this land, was able to call upon the sun gods and the rain gods. And I don't know if you've ever seen a rain dance, but he did a rain dance. Hey, hey, and this big, huge black cloud came right into the sky and started to thunder and lightning, and huge drops of rain came pouring down on the magician's house, and it put out the fire immediately. And as soon as the fire went out, the king said, "Soldiers, charge!" And they all came running into the house. They threw open the doors. They came in with their swords and their spears and everything that was there. And of course, they went first. The kids were behind. And no sooner did they get into the magician's house, the magician was standing there. Why was he laughing? Because no sooner had all of the soldiers gotten into his house, they had their bows and arrows ready to fire and kill the magician. All he did was he went like this. Boop. And they all turned to stone. The one guy had his sword ready to throw, and another one had his bow and arrow ready to pull, and someone else had his two swords ready to stick him in the heart. Yeah. That was a long stone, right? And so all of a sudden, they were all stuck, and the magician was laughing until Fran took the little tiger, because the big tiger had scared the dog away, and it turned back into a little tiger. So she took the little tiger out of her pocket and put it on the ground, and he turned into a big tiger. And the tiger took one leap, didn't even touch the ground of the magician's house. And before the magician knew it, that tiger was on top of him, scratching him. And the tiger bit the head off of the magician. The magician was dead. But that didn't stop him. Even though he was dead, his arm kept moving. He started to move around the hand looking for his magic wand. He kept feeling the ground with his hand. His hand was working even though his head was cut off by the tiger. Can you imagine? And he was just getting ready to grab his magic wand when Tina, the princess, came running in, and with her foot, she kicked the wand away. So the hand kept searching but couldn't find it. And then the king came with his sword, lifted it up, and sliced the arm off of the magician. For a while, the arm started moving around the floor, even though it was not attached to the magician anymore. But finally, it started to go slower and slower and stopped. Yay, everybody got the magician. But all of the soldiers were still stuck in stone. Kids, can you make a stone pose for me? Let me see your best fighting armor soldier stone pose. Tatra, can you get a sword in your hand? Let me see a stone pose, Tatra. That's right, just like that. So how is they going to get all the people unstoned? Well, Fred knew what to do. He just clapped his hands 3 times. Oh, and all the soldiers came back to their normal people, and they cheered. They ran outside. They put Fran and they put Fred on a little carpet, and they lifted them up and carried them like heroes back to the castle. And the trumpeters were playing, and the drummers were playing, and they all went into the castle and they celebrated. And the king said, well, what can I give you, kids? Because I know you've done so great. And he got out a big medal, and he put this beautiful medal, like, you know, when a runner wins a race or something, they get this beautiful medal around them. He put it around their neck, and then he gave them something very special. He gave them each a little gold ring that they put around their finger, real gold, very beautiful ring. But Fran said, well, look, sir, Mr. King, I'm sorry, but we better get home because our mommy and our daddies don't know that we're wondering where we are, and it's time for our bedtime. So they said, well, when the king said, well, how did you get here? And Fred took out this little toy train and put it on the ground, and all of a sudden it grew into a big train. And the engine of the train went, woo! Bye-bye, they said, it's time to go. And they jumped into the train, and all the king and all the soldiers and Tina raved and bye-bye. bye. Have a good trip. Come and see us some other time. And they went off. The train started really slowly. Started going very fast. And before they knew it, they crossed over the moat. They crossed on the big field. They crossed over the mountain, and they came, before they knew it, they went right through the glass mirror again and into their toy room. Fred and Tina said to the tiger and to the little train, "We're sorry we put you at the bottom of our toys. We're going to play with you now every day. You're going to have fun with us, and we're going to have fun with you." And just then their mommy and their daddy came inside the room and said, "Hi, kids." They didn't even miss the kids, because even though it looked like it took like 2 days to be in the castle, in the time of their mommy and daddy, in the time of their world and their toys, it was only a minute like this that it passed. Mommy and daddy said, "Come on, it's time for dinner. We got this beautiful, beautiful dinner for you guys. We're going to have only vegetables today, no meat, no chicken, because we decided to go vegan, which means no milk, no cheese, no eggs, no anything except fresh plants that come from the earth." They all sat down and they had this huge feast of the most delicious vegetables you could ever have in your life. Fran and Fred never told mommy and daddy about going to the castle and the king, but you know what? They'll never forget their time in that land. And their mommy and daddy never asked them about their ring, because they kept the ring. In fact, they had to hide the ring so their mommy and daddy would never know that they had gone into this magic land. So that's the end of the story for now. And we're gonna have another story on Monday. We're gonna start a whole new series of stories. So I'm gonna end the video for you guys. Bye, everybody. We love you all. Bye.